Good morning. Thank you for staying tuned to Daybreak on this 17th day of October 2022. And I want us to have a conversation about women in leadership. And of course, leadership is a question that has continued to be spoken about in this country. I have in studio Bishop David Oginde, founder, Catalyst Associates. Good morning.
Morning, thank you.
And I have Nancy Oginde, of course, a partner within that
associate.
Yes, an associate. Yes. And let's speak about the event that you're expecting towards the end of this month. As you talk about the woman leader, what informs this conversation at such a time that we've just come from such an election that has got a mix of outcomes?
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us here. What we may have noticed in these elections is that quite a number of women managed to get positions of leadership, elected positions, much more than in previous elections. So that means that the woman leader is actually rising up. And not just within the elective positions, you find that also even within the corporate sector, there are many women that are coming up in the elective, not elective, appointed positions of government. We have a number of women. The judiciary, for example, the top 3 in the judiciary are women. Mm-hmm. Right now, we have like 4 or 5 ambassadors of senior nations that are led by women. US, UK, EU are all women in this country. The UN itself is headed by women. So there's something that is happening very quietly, and maybe we are not even aware that women are rising. Mm-hmm. So how should we respond to this kind of a situation, both as a society and also as women themselves? How do they prepare themselves for this new wave that is happening? Because there has been a lot of cry in previous times that women are being left behind, that women are being ignored when it comes to leadership. So, but this is happening. We see Italy, UK, and other places. Again, women are rising. Mm-hmm. The EU at the very top is headed by a woman. Mm-hmm. So there seems to be something that is happening, mm-hmm. and we, as a society, need to prepare ourselves, if we are not yet prepared, and think creatively and constructively on the role of the woman as a leader in the local context, in the global context, in the continental context.
Mm-hmm. And yeah. for you, Nancy, what would you say is that which is happening? Because you look at 2013, we had no female governor. In 2017, we had 3. Now we have 7, and several deputy governors being elected. But also the question of the cabinet composition. Well, 7 cabinet secretaries out of, CS nominees rather, they're being vetted starting today, out of 22. Whereas if you look at the other appointments, it comes to about 10 that will be sitting in a cabinet meeting. For you, what is this that has been happening? Is it societal, cultural changes, or is it that the women leaders are emerging based on the programs that have been undertaken in the past few years?
It could be, yeah, what you're saying, but I think we are righting a wrong, mm-hmm. because half of the population, if you wish, has not been sitting at the table making decisions, either in the corporate world, in the government, in our organizations, but that has been righted or is being righted in Kenya, which is something that as women we applaud, as we see these women getting into these positions of responsibility. And that's where Catalyst comes in, because the paradigms that we have had for leadership has been tuned and structured for men by men. So how do these governors come into the Governors' Council, mm-hmm. and find their place as women, mm-hmm. and do the job as women and excel as women? How does the judiciary, as he says, 3 of them, the top, are women, mm-hmm. how do they navigate the expectations that that office has as women, mm-hmm. in a place that has been traditionally male-dominated. And that goes also for the corporate sector, not just in government. We have seen women moving into CEO positions in this country. I can think of Rita Kavasha, I can think of breweries. I mean, especially like breweries, traditionally a male-dominated company, but now we have a woman at the helm. So does anything need to change in terms of the leadership and the faces of these companies?
That's interesting. Yeah. And when you look at Bishop, yes, gains gradually, yes, but still the gender role in the Constitution, we are yet to achieve it, especially if we look at the National Assembly, 23 women elected to the constituencies, or from the constituencies out of 290, that's about 7%. But if you had to calculate the totality of it, 23 plus 47 women representatives, it gives you 70, which is 20% or thereabout. So if anyone is to petition the Chief Justice, there's already ground for determining or finding the National Assembly unconstitutional. So what is this, that gap that exists that we need to fix beyond allowing the gradual course of nature?
The debate of the gender rule has been going on for a long time, and ways to find a solution to it have been explored. If those who have known my voice on the same, I have been of a slightly different opinion, that elective positions cannot be forced, because by nature and structure, when people present themselves to be elected, it is up to the voter to decide who they want in that particular office. So it is very difficult to say that 1/3 of constituencies must elect one gender. That it's not even enforceable. It is not enforceable. So I think it was, in my view, it was not a very good law. What we are seeing happening now, I think in the long run is what is going to help us. As more and more women find their space in the leadership arena, it is also working on the mindset of the voter, so that it is going to become much easier for the future woman who presents themselves to be elected to get elected, because people will have seen that women can also do it, because this is also a cultural issue. We are primarily a matriarchal society, rather a patriarchal society. So most of the voters, by the way, are women, but they don't vote for their fellow women. You know, why? Because our mindset is leadership is for men. So it becomes very difficult for the ordinary voter to imagine that they will vote for a woman.
Right.
But as this space opens up, that is going to be more and more a probability, and the gender rule will be met without any difficulties.
Okay.
But I don't think that it can be enforced simply because it is in the Constitution.
Right.
It will not be practical.
And Nancy, I see the woman leader recalibrating the paradigm for leadership. Tell me about it and what the focus will be specifically this time as you have the event.
Okay. As I said a little earlier, we want to talk about how does the woman navigate the high expectations that they are going to be facing. Right now, as we speak, we have a crisis in the UK when this new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, came in. I don't think she's even done 100 days, but already we are judging her so harshly. We're not giving her space. I was wondering, if it were a man, would he have been able to navigate around, or would we have, given him a little more space, or the people of the UK given him a little more space so that he's able, to show what he is worth? So how does a woman leader come in with all these high expectations and manage to do what they're supposed to do? And it's not just that. There is also the issue of accountability. The accountability bar for women seems to be a lot higher, in my view, than it is for men. Again, it's just that, I guess, because we are supposed to be the softer, the mothers and the sisters of the nation, people expect that we are coming into these offices with high integrity. We are coming into these offices with high moral standards. What a man would ordinarily get away with, a woman will not. So how will the new woman leader in all these spaces, and we're talking right from the MCA all the way to the governor, at least for now in Kenya, we hope beyond that, to the CJ, how does she carry herself? Then we would also want to talk about all the roles that a woman brings into the office. She comes as an officer, a leader, a wife, a mother, a sister, and women, we carry everything. We multitask, yes. But how does this woman manage herself, manage her role, and manage all these other side expectations, and perform? Remember, the first thing is she was put in this office as a CS to perform. So how do you calibrate all these issues? How do you reorganize yourself? Is there like, okay, especially for the lower cadre, maybe if you're talking CJ, governor, they may have the infrastructure that may support them in all these different roles. But if you're not that high, you're a senior manager, you may not be able to have that kind of infrastructure that will enable you in this, your new role. How do you organize yourself to manage and remain your authentic self as a woman, not have to do it the way the men have done it in the past?
Okay. And Bishop, so who are you targeting, and how is it coming along?
This is aimed at the women who are in leadership positions at different levels. We are particularly looking at very senior leadership positions, managers in various organizations, both in government and the corporate sector, so that we can have a conversation that begins to prepare these people to play their active role. But we are also looking at women who are aspiring. They may not be at the very top, but they are aspiring to get there. You know, so they would want to know what is happening there. How did you get there? What are the challenges that you are facing? So we are inviting these senior leaders who are already in place, in office. As you know, our main speaker is the Director General of the United Nations office here in Nairobi, which is one of the 5 stations. So it's a very, very senior position in the world, and is led by a woman. So we would like to hear from her. How did she get to that very top level globally? What are some of the issues and challenges that she has faced? And then we'll get into a discussion with other women leaders. The other angle to it that we have added that perhaps has not been looked at is what happens to the husbands of women leaders. You know, if you're the husband of a senior woman leader.
Of the CJ.
Of the CJ, for example. where do you fit in that equation? How do you organize yourself? Because the woman being the wife of a leader, usually it is assumed how they play that role. But when the roles are changed, how does a man operate in that space? So we are looking at those 2 different angles, and therefore we'll also have a male panelists to just tell us how they have navigated that space or how they would navigate. So we are actually looking at any woman who is in a leadership position to the highest level, and those who are aspiring for those.
So are you also encouraging the spouses of those powerful women to also attend? Or
of course, you are welcome. You are welcome, but you just know that the focus will be on the woman leader. But if you have a woman leader in your house, this is your opportunity to come and hear what we are talking about and contribute to the discussion.
Okay, all right.
If you allow me, we are also hoping that these aspiring leaders, the younger woman or the woman who is not at the pinnacle of power or has not yet managed to go through the glass ceiling, as they call it, that we will have a forum, not just for this one day, but even later on, where they can network with those other senior women who have managed just for mentoring purposes. How did you navigate? How did you manage? How did you handle yourself as a woman, your family, your job, and succeed to get to, like this lady at the UN. She was a minister of government in her own country, and now she's one of 5 global leaders. Surely there must be something there. There must be a skill that has taken her there. Can the younger woman in Kenya learn something from this woman?
All right.
So, yeah.
And the date is 20th of October at this
28th, yes.
28th. What did I say?
20th.
28th of October 2022 at 7:30 a.m. at the Serene Hotel in Nairobi. And I wish you well, both of you, Bishop David Ogende and Nancy Ogende. And thank you both for making time for us here.
Thank you.
All the best again. Next is Sporty Monday. They'll be telling you